Hey, hello everyone. Me, Mr. D again. Today's Monday, April 6th, and yes, I said Monday, and yes, we do have school today. Because, of course, as you know by now, we don't have school this Friday because of Good Friday, right? So, along with that, we do have a math assignment today. It's in your Google Classroom. And there was also a language arts assignment that I assigned last Friday that's due today. So hopefully you got that done. Looks like most of you have. There's also the morning check-in. If you take a look, if you haven't done it yet, it says Tuesday, even though today is Monday. Looks like most of you have gotten that done already also, so that's fantastic. So I'm going to read chapter 7 to you guys today. It's called Mabui. Okay, so here we go. Hideki's hands were so sweaty he worried the grenade he held would slip right out of his grasp. He wiped a hand on his jacket and nodded to Katsumasa, who was a few yards to his left. All the boys were hiding behind whatever bushes and tree trunks hadn't been destroyed by the offshore bombardment. As a group, they crept forward, drawing closer to where they heard someone crashing through the undergrowth. Hideki strained to catch every sound, every movement. Yoshio waved for everyone to stop, and then Hideki heard it. The crunch and snap of heavy footfalls on the forest floor. Someone was coming. The footsteps got louder, more urgent, and Hideki heard a man's breath. Who could it be? This is it, he thought. This is my moment of glory. But Hideki didn't feel so glorious. His stomach was tied up in knots, and he could barely breathe. He wasn't even sure he could stand. Oh, Winston likes the story. He's barking his approval. So, one of the boys jumped out from where he was hiding and yelled, "Banzai!" And more of them did the same. Hideki borrowed some of their courage and leaped to his feet, ready to strike the fuse on his grenade and throw it at an American soldier. But it wasn't an American soldier. Huffing along the trail was Norio Kajima, their school principal. The portly man's uniform was muddy and torn, and he hugged a tall canvas sack to his chest. Principal Kojima cried out in surprise as the boys all popped up screaming and brandishing grenades. And he tripped over his own feet and fell to the ground. The sack broke his fall, but something inside it shattered and snapped. Framed pictures spilled out onto the forest floor. "No, no!" the principal cried. "Principal Kojima," Hideki said. Lucky none of the boys had activated their grenades, and now they all hurried to help their principal to his feet. "The Emperor! The pictures of the Emperor!" Kojima said. "Some of them have been damaged." Hideki picked up one of the framed photographs that was still intact. It was a picture of Emperor Hirohito. A portrait of the emperor hung in every room at school. Hideki and the other boys had to bow to the picture and the Japanese flag every time they came or went. Principal Kojima must have collected every one of the portraits and stuffed them into a sack. That'd be similar to us having like a picture of whichever president at the time, like President Trump right now. You would bow to him every time that you came into our room, and every time right before you left the room, you would bow to him, and you would bow to the American flag. Could you imagine doing that? Principal Kojima scrambled to collect the other pictures. "It is my sacred duty to protect the divine emperor's photographs," he said. "I'm taking these north to the Imperial Photograph Guardian Unit. The emperor's spirit must be protected." Hideki had never seen Principal Kojima so frantic, and it scared him a little. He could tell the other boys were frightened too, but Hideki understood the principal's concern. A person's spirit, what the Okinawans called Mabui, was like his soul. It was what made you who you were. Everyone's Mabui, including Hideki. A Mabui was immortal and transferable. A ring you inherited from your grandmother might have her Mabui in it, or a watch your father had owned might still carry his Mabui. You could even lose your mabui if you weren't careful. And pictures, whether they were drawings or photographs, like those of Emperor Hirohito, they carried part of a person's mabui in them too. So it was like each of these photos was a little piece of the emperor's soul. It was the mabui of Hideki's cowardly ancestor, Shigetomo Kanashiro, that still cursed every third generation of Hideki's family. Hideki's own mabui shared space inside him with the spirit of Shigetomo. As long as Shigetomo's spirit was still restless, Hideki would never know peace and could never truly be himself. Hideki's sister had tried to help him with Shigetomo's mabui in her official role as a yuta, but Kimiko had always had more success with other people. Once, Hideki remembered, he had gone with her on a house call to a family with a young boy who kept getting in trouble at school. That day, Kimiko had worn a white bashufu, a lightweight banana fiber kimono, and matched the streak in her hair. Shinsei keeps getting into fights, the boy's mother had complained. I have to bring him home at least once a week. His older brother, Ichiro, never got in trouble like this. Shinsei was a scruffy, surly boy of 7, with a thin trickle of snot running down his dirty face. Hideki thought he looked like trouble, but Kimiko smiled at the boy and talked to him like an adult. Have you been having bad dreams, Shinsei? She asked him. Shinsei frowned and looked away, and in the next room, a baby cried, and Shinsei's mother got up to see to it. Shinsei, Kamino tried again. Yes, the boy grunted. A female wolf comes and chases me out of the house and won't let me back in. Ah, I think I understand, Kimiko said. You do? Shinsei asked. You do? Hideki asked. He was confused. None of it made sense to him. The wolf in Shinsei's dream represents a female ancestor born in the year of the dog, Kimiko explained. When Shinsei's mother came back, Kimiko asked her if there was someone matching that description who had been a troublemaker in the past. Ah, yes, my aunt, Toshi, the mother said. My mother's middle sister. She was always running around with boys my grandfather didn't like. Oh, and the fights they would have? Kimiko nodded. Shinsei has his great aunt Toshi's mabui on him. She's still acting out through him. Go once a week to the family tomb where she is buried, just the two of you, and perform the ceremony I teach you. You got all of that from his dream about a wolf? Hideki asked later as he and Kimiko walked home. Kimiko grinned. Well, not all of it. Being a Yuta is about listening to our ancestors, but it's about paying attention to the living too. Did you hear the cries from the other room? There's a new baby in the house, and his mother mentioned an older brother, which makes Shinsei the middle child. The oldest brother has all the responsibility, and the baby gets all the mother's attention. Shinsei doesn't have a role in the family anymore, so he acts out to get any kind of attention, even if it's negative attention. He probably doesn't even know he's doing it. But now he and his mother will spend time together once a week, walking back and forth to the family tomb to perform the ceremony together. And Shinsei will get lots of attention without having to get into trouble. So, all that about his great-aunt Toshi? You just made that up? Hideki asked. Kimiko smacked him on the head. No! Her mabui really is on him. She was a middle child too. Didn't you hear? She probably went through the same thing, only there was no Yuta to send her on long walks to the family tomb with her mother. So, she never got over it. Kimiko's voice grew quiet. I hope Shinsei's trips to the family tomb with his mother will bring both him and his great-aunt Toshi peace in the end. Hideki still had trouble understanding it all, but his sister seemed to know what she was talking about. I'm the middle child too, and I ain't never acted out like that, he said at last. That's because you have a different Mabui to worry about, Kimiko told him. One Hideki would have to wait a little longer to appease. I've got to get these pictures of safety, Principal Kojima was saying now. Hideki watched as he stuffed the last of the Emperor's portraits back into the bag and stood up. Remember to fight and die for your country. Fight and die for your country with honor. We'll meet again in the afterlife, he told his former students, and he ran off. The boys were debating whether to return to the cave or to keep looking for American soldiers when Yoshio perked up. Do you smell that? He whispered. A delicious aroma tickled Hideki's nose, and he turned into the wind and sniffed. Somebody nearby was cooking something over a campfire. Something good. Hideki hadn't eaten meat in ages. All the meat in Okinawa now went to Japanese soldiers. And his mouth watered at the tasty smell. Some of the other boys had picked up on it too, and they smiled at each other. Hideki's stomach growled eagerly, but he didn't smile. The smell of roasting meat could only mean one thing. Americans, he whispered. All right, that's the end of the chapter, chapter 7. Hope you guys are enjoying it. Spread the word. Right now, it seems that the only ones that are commenting on it daily are Izzy and Becca. So I'd love to hear how many of you are actually tuning in and listening each day. All right, you guys, take care. Have a good day. Bye.